So hello, welcome to issue 42, and first thing we always do obviously is the unpacking. So the parts that we have this week, there's only 4 parts in total, and none of those horrible screws. I don't mind the screws, I just, when you get loads of them before you need them, it's a bit of a pain in the bum. So the first part we get is the hull plating BP12, and that is BP12 because there it is written now. I know it doesn't come up on the camera, but I can assure you it's BP12. The next part that we have is the thread cutting tab, which I'll come back to. Part number 3 is the starboard hull recess, which is this piece here, nicely detailed, and I believe that we're going to be detailing that up even more. The fourth part is the plant on details, 8 of them on the sprue, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and I believe that's what we're going to be working on today. So going back to part 2, or piece number 2, we have a thread cutting tab. Now I personally haven't had too much problems. I've had no problems at all with this build, and I think I've come across one problem in one of my other part works. What this is, sometimes you might get the hole hasn't been drilled quite deep enough. So this is where this tool comes in. This is called a thread cutting tab. I don't know if you can see those ends, but it's got like a screw thread on it, and what it's designed to do is to drill in and create a screw thread, and the deeper you drill it, the wider that hole gets. Rather than just drilling straight in, it's a little bit like a drill. If you're going to drill a big hole through metal, for example, say you want a hole that big, what you actually do is you drill a small hole, then you drill a larger hole, and then a larger hole, and you keep drilling holes until you get the size you want. That's pretty much how this works. Like I say, with the Millennium Falcon I've had absolutely no problems with the holes, but that will still be a welcome addition to my toolbox. But what I've found is the 1 or 2 occasions where the holes have been too small, I've actually used one of these. This is a needle file. This does the job better, but you can get away with one of those. Right, so let's get on with the building. Right, there's only one what I'm going to call a compulsory stage, which is obviously what you have to do, and there's an optional stage as well. So what we're going to do first of all is detailing the recess. Now normally I cut pieces off the sprue as I need them, but just to save a bit of time on the video, I've pre-cut the pieces and prepared them. So when I remove things off the sprue, there's different ways to do this. This is my method. Where the join points are, I cut that too long. You see that there's some excess there, and then I will cut this one too long, and then I can just pop the sprue to one side, and you see there they're too long there. So then I'll get my craft knife, and then I will cut that shorter, and then this one shorter, and then I will just finish that off with a little file. Remember, these particular files you work one way. There you go. That may not be the best way to do it, but it's a way that I use that just gives me confidence I'm not going to break the pieces. So what we're going to do, we need to take the I forgot what this is called now, the starboard hull recess. So we're going to start off, we always test fit. So we're going to test fit this. Not only does a test fit tells us if it's going to fit, which in this case it will, it also gives us a good idea of where to apply the glue so that the glue doesn't show. Now you can probably use a good polystyrene cement, which I've used in the past, but I just feel it on this case a little bit more confident with super glue. So I'm just going to apply this very gently. Less really is more. So a tiny spot there. I can't seem to get it out of the tube. Come on. Tiny spot there. We'll use that spot there because it's quite a large area, and then we'll just a tiny spot there. Be careful not to touch where the glue is, especially with this particular glue. This is extremely strong, and then we can just pop that in there. Do it that way, shall we? That's the way it wants to be done. And then I usually count to about 5 or 10. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and give that a gentle push to see if it's stuck. It doesn't seem to have been. There we go, that's stuck down now, so that's not going anywhere. And then we'll just continue our way through each part. Now there is a little diagram which I should be bringing up now that shows where all of the pieces go, and all we need to do is just follow that. So piece number 2. Thought that didn't look right. So, and I'm going to use my tweezers. So test fit first. There we go, that's fine, I'm happy with that. Pop on the glue. Probably shouldn't work over the model in case we get spillage. You might get away with not using tweezers, but tweezers do make the job a lot easier. Okay. That's okay, I'm happy with that. So piece number 3. That goes in. Like so, maybe? Yeah, there we go. So that goes in there. I'll just bring my camera right in, I think. Just give you a slightly better view. There we go. Problem I have with my camera is that if I have a lot of light, it doesn't show up too well on the webcam, on the video. If I don't have enough light, it looks perfect on the video, but I struggle working. So I may actually have to turn the light back on in a moment. So piece number 4. Which is this one, that's going to go somewhere around there. Yeah, I'm going to have to, I'm sorry guys, I will have to turn the light on. So piece number 4, looks like it goes there. And look. I think that's right, I'm confident with that. Yeah, it definitely goes that way. There's this is good for some, not so good for others, but the instructions are really well detailed. If anything, they overdo the instructions, which sometimes actually makes you lose track of where you are. Right, so piece number 5 is going to go in like that by the looks of it. Yep, that's spot on. So dab of glue. You see, I'm trying to use as little glue as possible. If you use more glue, all that happens is it takes longer to dry, and you run the risk of it going everywhere. Just go back to piece number 4 and check it. You can definitely see why there's an order to this now, can't you? Some pieces are going in over other pieces. So piece number 6, that's going to go in. Probably going to need tweezers for this. There we go. Dab of glue. Not much because this is only a tiny part. This super glue, it does dry very quickly, but it does give you a couple of seconds working time, so you know you've got a little bit of time for manoeuvre. I actually went way too much glue on that, which is a bit of a shame, but that's what happens. Mistakes do get made. So piece number 7, and that's going to go something involving that. There we go. Just a case of finding holes. So I can see 3. There we go. So we've got holes there, there, and there, and one on top of this piece there. So I would line it up there, and then there we go. So push this one into position first, then the other 3 will come. To be absolutely honest with you, I should really put this super glue onto a piece of waste material, but it's so thick it's not likely to run everywhere. So it's probably a case of do as I say, not as I do so much. I'm going to have to turn my computer volume down, I think. There we go, and that should leave us with just the one piece. Piece number 8, and there's one piece there. I think it's probably going to go that way. Let me have a look, check and double check the instructions. One end goes in there and the other end goes into, there it is. There's a little hole in there which on the part that you put in earlier, so it's going to go across and down, and I think I will use tweezers for this one. Bit of a struggle. Small thin round bits be a bit tricky because they want to rotate their own way. Oh, that's not going in as well as it wanted to earlier. There we go. So there we go, that is the finished compulsory section of this magazine. So what I will actually do the next optional stage, just to make it a little bit nicer, and I'll go through that next. Okay, so what I've done is I've taken the piece that we've just made, and just save a bit of time and a bit of video time, I've already sprayed it. Now what the magazine is asking us to do is to spray this all over with black, then we spray it again just at about 45-degree angle using a mid grey, and then we go over very lightly with a light grey just to pick out the details. I'm going to modify that ever so slightly. Like I say, I've gone all over with this one is Chaos Black by Citadel. It's just the spray can that I had handy. It just saves me a little bit of time. You could paint it, but by painting obviously it'd be a bit more difficult. But instead of spraying the next sections, I'm actually going to paint them on. Also, stage 19, which obviously we've done many weeks ago, I didn't actually decide to paint at the time, but now I've decided to paint it. So I'm going to do this in this video, and that's going to be quite handy because at each stage we can then do a comparison between what we've just done before and after. So the two paints that I'm going to use, it just says medium grey and a light grey. So I've decided to use these two paints, which I got from an asset drop box many months ago. These are made by Italiari. Actually very good paints. I'd never used them before I received these. Now this one is a flat medium grey, flat just meaning matte, and that's got a federal standard code of 36270, which basically means shade number 3, which is grey, finished 3, which is a matte, colour number 6, which is a grey, so it's on the grey scale, and it's 200 and, I can't know if it's 270 in or 270 out, but it goes from 0 to 500 I think, or possibly even 999. And then the second one I've got is a flat gold grey, which is Federal Standard 366233. So again, it's a matte just like this one. It's a shade of grey, and it's 622 in. So obviously the higher the number, the lighter it gets. So for example, white would be 999 and black would be 000. So all I'm going to do, I'm going to keep it simple. I'm going to get my I'm going to get an old brush. I'm not going to get a really good painting brush, because the process I'm going to use could be damaging to the brush, and I'm going to do very similar to a dry brush for the medium grey. So I want that a little bit heavier, but the final colour we'll do as a proper dry brush. So we've got our flat medium grey. Make sure that's nicely shaken up, really shake it. If you think it's just right, shake it for another 10 seconds. You can't really overshake these. And I believe these ones have a shaker ball in them. I may be wrong. And to save a bit of cleaning, I'm going to be using kitchen roll. So I'm actually going to use my kitchen roll to pour the paint onto. So, bit of a dollop there. And what we're going to do is dip a brush in and just give it a light clean, just like we would with dry brushing, but not as good as a dry brush. And then just see how much we got. Probably done that too much. Just get the paint right in. Right, there we go. So what we're going to do is we're going to emulate the paint as though it was coming on at 45-degree angle, and the easiest way to do that is to give it light strokes like so. Figure out where the rise is. Don't worry about it being uneven, we can sort all of that out later on. So you can see that I've just started to pick up some of the detail, and then we can do that from a different angle. And then we can do it from this angle. We can do as many different angles as we want, but we're just running the brush up and down. You would get a much more even finish if you use a spray can, admittedly, but we're going to do this without the spray can, and we just keep running until we're happy with the finish. And we're just looking to get the top detail. Just basically we're creating shadows. It's very simple to do. It's one of those ones, if you don't know how to do it, it might as well be impossible, but once you know the techniques, it's just easy. So just keep going. Now I'm told these recesses here will be covered by bodywork, but I'm just going to pick up the edges, just in case the bodywork doesn't fit absolutely 100%. At least then we're not going to have weird bits showing. So there we go. And there we go. Look, I'm just picking up some of the details. You see it's still mostly black, but it's just picked up so much more detail. In fact, actually this one has helped you see the detail on this one. So as you see, I put way too much paint on the palette. You know, it's so little paint that you actually use. And just like I say, just keep going. Don't get right into the deep recesses. If you wouldn't have got it with a spray can, you don't want to get it with a brush. And there you go. And that will darken a little bit as it dries. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get on with the other one, just to bring it up to this one. So I'll see you guys in a sec. So we're going to finish this off with some extreme highlights. As you see, we've got the basic highlights there. We're just going to hit that just a little bit harder with something rather bright, a little bit extreme, and it's just really going to emphasize that highlight. So this is Flat Gold Grey by Italiari. It is actually a really wonderful paint, and same as before, rather than wasting up the palette, might as well put it straight onto the kitchen roll. So I've probably put way too much on there than we're going to need. This time either use a very old brush that you don't want anymore, or a specialist dry brush. I actually got sent this dry brush to try out. This is the first time I've ever used it, so it didn't cost me anything. I'll be honest with you, I can't remember who sent it to me, but I'm going to give it a try. And the way we dry brush is we get paint on the brush, and then what we're going to do is we're going to try and clean as much of that off as we can using the kitchen roll. And then that's too much on there, so you see you can't really see any paint on there, but when you brush quite hard, let's see if I use this bit, you can see it just picks up a little bit there, just makes it a bit brighter. And what we're going to do is we're just going to sweep across, and that's just going to pick up some highlights. Because we're using a brush, we can be very selective in the parts that we pick out. So if you look at this part compared to the rest of it, it's just pushed it slightly to a new level. And we just go over all the bits that we want, and sometimes if you do it quicker, you kind of get the it comes out a little bit better. And we're looking for subtlety. If you need more, just keep going, you can always add. And there you go, and we'll just keep going over and over and over, just picking up the raised detail. It just gives it that little bit extra. So I'm going to finish this off, and then we'll do a comparison to piece number 19, which hasn't had any detail added to it, and then I'll get on and I'll do number 19. Okay, so there's the two parts side by side, and you can see this part does look very good, I think, but this one that we've just done, I think it just looks ever slightly better. So what I'm going to do now then is I'll get on with this one, and then we'll bring this up to the same standard as this one. I'll show you what I've done. I've just seen a little bit I don't like there, and yeah, and then I'll show the two, and then that should be the end of this week's build. Okay, so there's the two parts that are finished. I'm really happy with those. So you didn't have to do this. You could have left them the original colour. You know, and it does actually say to do them with a spray can. The problem I have with a spray can is it gets very, very out of control very easily. You know, when I sprayed these black, I tried to be very focused, and you see I got a lot over my fingers. This is obviously I use a rubber glove, and also I tried to sort of be very careful. And on the back, I mean, it doesn't matter on the back, but as you can see, look, I couldn't even avoid. I'm just trying to get just the very edges, so it is very hard. So if you're doing that last layer, you want to do a quick sweep, but as you can see, it's going to be difficult to do. So that's why I did the last bits with a brush. It just enabled me to be so much more focused, and I think that that's made that detail pop out really well. So that's it. Now I promise you a couple of issues that are a lot easier coming up. This pack is actually quite a joy. I've had a lot of struggle with some of the earlier issues, and it's nice to do what I call take a break issue, where you are producing something but you're not really being challenged as much. It just gives you a little bit of a rest. So I'll see you next week, guys. Take care. Bye bye.